Hey, mic check 1-2. Bryson DeChambeau just hit a 426-yard drive. What? Mic check 1-2, 3-4. I am not.
Good Friday afternoon and welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner here with Taheshah and Eric Chilton.
We made it to Friday. I just love saying
Air
that.
5 for that one.
Air 5. Amen. Well, this is an interactive newscast where we chat with you throughout the show. So log on to the WFMY News 2 live stream on Facebook and YouTube to leave your comment there and use that hashtag 4 to 5 to stay connected. Face masks in public are now required starting this evening at 5 o'clock. That is in 1 hour. Anyone in a public space will have to wear a mask inside or out. Employees and customers at retail businesses and restaurants must also wear masks. Now, this order is set to expire on July 17th. Governor Cooper also announced this week the state will not be moving into phase 3 as expected. Some exceptions to the mask rule include anyone under the age of 11 years old, someone who is eating, drinking, exercising, working at home, and yes, riding in your own car. You don't have to wear a mask if you're doing that. And if you are giving a speech or have hearing impairments.
All right, so there's a lot of talk about enforcing this rule, and there are some ways to enforce the order, although state leaders and local law enforcement hope that people will just follow it voluntarily. Authorities cannot arrest someone who is not wearing a mask, but they can issue a citation to a business who is not complying with the mask policy. The order says anyone who is exempt from wearing a mask can let a business know, and they'll go off the customer's statement. However, if a business turns you away for not wearing a mask and you refuse to leave that business, authorities can cite you for trespassing. The cities of Greensboro and High Point say they want to focus on educating the public instead of issuing citations. Rockingham and Alamance County Sheriff's deputies will not cite anyone for a mask violation, and Rockingham County authorities say they'll respond to trespassing calls. Speaking of masks, the city of Greensboro is handing out free masks to the Hispanic community. The giveaway is happening tomorrow from 4 until 6 at Daystar Church on Merritt Drive. The masks are made from washable fabric. The city's Hispanic Latinx Employee Resource Group and Equity and Inclusion Office is making the giveaway possible.
Governor Roy Cooper's mandate to wear face coverings statewide starting at 5 is not sitting well with some people across the state. But a Greensboro teen hopes to share a different perspective. She penned a letter on Facebook listing her reasons in support of wearing a mask.
I wear a mask because I have asthma and I'm at risk if I contract COVID-19.
16-year-old Grace Lehman took to Facebook this week to share her heart.
I wish others could know how degrading it feels as someone at risk to hear them say, I'm a healthy person, I sure will do whatever I want. Those who are sick or at risk should stay at home.
Grace says she had to say something after seeing backlash initially from Greensboro Mayor Nancy Vaughn's face mask requirement. But she feels her letter is more relevant now that masks are required statewide.
I've been seeing a lot of people wearing a mask, but I've also been seeing quite a number of people that aren't wearing a mask, and it's kind of concerning.
Since the start of the pandemic, the Lehmans knew they had to be careful, but said they would wear masks regardless if Grace weren't asthmatic.
It's difficult for us to understand why other people are so adamant about not wearing a mask, because it's like wearing a seatbelt. You know, I mean, seatbelts are required, and we wear them to keep ourselves safe and, you know, put kids in car seats to keep them safe.
Medical experts now say wearing a mask is a crucial way to stop the spread of coronavirus.
I wear a mask because cases continue to rise where I live. I wear a mask because I understand that being young and having an immune system isn't enough to protect me or others.
Grace hopes that by sharing why she wears a mask, others will feel more inclined to.
Being 16, being a child, our voices aren't always heard, even though we have valid opinions. We have opinions of our own.
Now, if you would like to read Grace's full letter, I will include that in this story on our website. And I would encourage you to take a few moments and read that letter. It really just puts things into perspective. As you're reading that letter, you can feel that this is something obviously near and dear to her heart. She says in the letter that she wants to go into the medical field. She wants to do what she can for those already in the medical field, keeping them safe as well.
Very interesting. You know, Taheshah, we have certainly heard a wide variety of opinions about this mandatory mask rule that's going into effect in just about an hour. But the evidence shows that masks do help slow the spread. I think really the issue is people don't want to be told they have to do it. And many people would have done it voluntarily. But hopefully overall we'll see those numbers go down because more people will be wearing them.
And remember, that starts tonight at 5 o'clock, mandatory masks statewide.
Well, better safe than sorry. That seems to be the route for Wake Forest football coach Dave Clawson. He's taking precautions, big precautions going into the upcoming season here. He's taking extra measures to make sure that his wife stays clear of the coronavirus during the fall. Luke Liddon is with us now to talk more about this.
Yeah, Eric Clawson saying he doesn't want to take any chances with giving his wife coronavirus, and it sounds like a pretty good idea when you realize he'll be working with more than 100 student athletes on nearly a daily basis. So he's decided to take some pretty extreme measures. When camp opens up on July 12th, Clawson saying he will start to isolate himself from his wife until the end of the season. The reason being his wife, Catherine, a cancer survivor, has a lower white blood cell count and is at a higher risk if she were to contract COVID-19. Clawson also saying, I love coaching, but I love my wife more. There's no way I'm going to do anything that would put her at risk. So you think about it, he'll be away from her for about 6 or so months, which is a long time being away from the wifey. But like you said, better safe than sorry in this scenario, especially with the amount of student athletes he'll be working with in the coming months. Again, camp will start on July 12th.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement is now reporting their first coronavirus cases among detained migrant families with children. 11 family members in a Texas facility tested positive for the virus. These are the first cases at any of the 3 family detention facilities operated by ICE in Texas and Pennsylvania. 4 employees at the Texas facility also have the virus. More than 2,500 adult immigrants have tested positive for COVID-19 while they were in ICE custody, but they just aren't in family detention facilities. ICE's press secretary says the family members positive with the virus were new arrivals and they have not come in contact with any other people at the facility.
And we look at the forecast with temperatures that, really not all that bad, right? Pretty much on the money for what we should see this time of the year. Normal highs in the upper 80s and some of you in the mid 80s, some in the upper 80s as well, but only 2 or 3 degrees off our normal. 86 in Greensboro and Winston-Salem. We show 88 for Burlington. Asheboro's at 84. Mount Airy 84. We drop to the upper 70s though for Galax and Boone. Tonight 65, the overnight low, mostly clear skies. Tomorrow, 89, which means southern Piedmont, we could see some low 90s there. Watch for the late day haze and that dust coming in as that Sahara dust plume we've been talking about. That works its way in by Saturday evening, we think. And actually, just the way the sun refracts through some of that dust, we've been told that the sunsets are incredibly beautiful and orange when this happens. So watch for that Saturday night if you're out and about. Satellite and radar, we're pretty dry. We're kind of in a dry slot for today, just the way the systems are stacking up. That will change, though, as we head, especially second half of the weekend. I think we have a better chance of rain come Sunday. than we will on Saturday. You can see kind of that dusty and warmer conditions start to push through by the time we get into Saturday overnight and into Sunday. Again, that haze will probably stay with us through the better part of the day. Sunday, now late day, we have a chance of showers and thunderstorms, a 40% chance. You can see that cold front to our north, but it is close enough to us and we're still fairly warm that we could see that thunderstorm chance. It's a 40% Sunday afternoon and evening. We hold that.
It's time for your 4 to 5 roundup. The House passed a Democratic police reform bill, which includes a ban on chokeholds at the federal level. The George Floyd Justice in Policing Act makes it easier to prosecute and file lawsuits against officers violating their code of conduct. The bill would also establish new training procedures, including additional body cameras. Republicans propose their own version of reform, which includes a use of force database, restriction on chokeholds, and research on law enforcement and race. The Justice in Policing Act is now heading to the Senate for a vote. In the meantime, Minneapolis City Council members are taking the first steps to disband the police department today. 5 council members wrote a new ordinance to amend the city charter. The proposal replaces the police department with a community safety and violence prevention department. The group would focus on public health to address crime in the city. The proposal includes a law enforcement division made of licensed officers to respond only to violent situations. Microsoft is permanently closing the doors of all of its physical stores in the world. The company says that the decision is a strategic change to adjust to increase in online sales. The company has 72 stores here in the U.S., but has not said if closing the stores will result in any layoffs. And don't forget, Elm Street in downtown Greensboro will be closed from February 1 Place to Washington Street starting tonight at 6. It will reopen Monday morning. 16 artists are working on a Black Lives Matter street mural. Organizer Jason Keith says they chose that section of the road because of its history. It's right in front of the Civil Rights Center Museum and former Woolworths, where the Greensboro Four staged their sit-ins during the Civil Rights Movement.
A special prosecutor was assigned to a case in Colorado today where a 23-year-old black man was reportedly killed by police last summer. Elijah McClain's family says he was walking home and listening to music before the encounter. The district attorney says McClain ignored demands from police for him to stop. McClain was wearing a mask at the time of the incident, but the family claims that wasn't unusual for him because of previous physical issues he faced. One officer says McClain reached for another officer's gun, and that's when the report says officers moved to get McClain on the ground. Paramedics arrived and gave McClain ketamine to sedate him. He suffered cardiac arrest, lost blood flow to his brain, and died 3 days later. The case is now being reevaluated after a Change.org petition received more than 3 million signatures.
I miss my friend. I've been through this 9 months ago, and it feels like we're reevaluating the exact same situation. I just hope this time we get justice.
According to the DA's report, the coroner was not able to determine a cause of death, but did not rule out ketamine as a possibility. More of the 4 to 5 on the other side of the break.
One one 2 2, check checky roofs. It looks like it's connecting well. Well, kneeling during the national anthem, that has been a huge debate in the NFL for years. Now, the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said that the league supports peaceful protests, but they did not specify if that includes kneeling during the national anthem. Carolina Panthers head coach Matt Rule said yesterday he's considering kneeling with his players in protest of racial justice.
I would consider, first of all, I would consider anything, you know what I mean, as we move forward. I think, I'm supportive of the cause. I'm supportive of the movement. I'm supportive of social justice. And so I'll support my players with whatever they do. And then, when the time comes, I'll think, deeply about, hey, what's the best thing for me? What's the best way that I can show my support? So I'll sort of wait and sort of see, what direction they're leaning. And then I, like everyone else, kind of make my decisions.
So obviously, Rule said that he will discuss this with his players before he makes a decision about what's best for him to do.
And speaking of the national anthem, there's a conversation picking up traction online about whether it should be changed. The Star-Spangled Banner became the national anthem in 1931. Before it was the national anthem, it was a poem called Defense of Fort McHenry by Francis Scott Key. Key was a slave owner who defended slave owners' rights, according to the National Smithsonian.
So now that there is that chatter online about whether we should have a new national anthem, I wanted to start that conversation with you on my Facebook page, and we've got a lot of people chiming in today. Dashney Love says, no harm in talking about it, right? Personally, I've always thought America the Beautiful and God Bless America were much better songs. I think a bigger issue is some people's obsession with patriotism. Sharon says, I do not want a new anthem. I love the words. If the song prompted slavery, I'd feel differently. Faye writes, the past is over. Learn from it and go forward. Ken Wood says, it is what it is. However, I would have just one request moving forward. At every sporting event, have them sing that third verse and see if people still love that song as much. I went and I looked up the third verse of the Star Spangled Banner, and there are a couple lines in there that didn't sit well with me. So I can see where both sides are coming from. That third verse is a little iffy for me. The first verse is good. Do you discount the whole song because of that? I don't know.
That's interesting because I don't think I've ever looked up the third verse. Now I'm going to have to go check that out and read into that. So yeah, I'll do that. Is that now you're sparking my curiosity?
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of resources that we can all look into about many different topics that are being explored right now. And now is a good time to be listening and educating yourself.
Right. And, this conversation is far from over. So if you haven't chimed in, you can write in on the WFMY News 2 live stream there or find that post on my Facebook page. I'd love to continue the conversation further that way.
All right. More of the 4 to 5s coming up right after this.
Hey, if you can't come to the show, then they'll bring the show to your place. That's what the Community Theater of Greensboro is doing with some virtual concerts over the next few days and weeks. I asked Director Roz Fulton to fill us in.
Ross, thanks for being with us today. Hey, you guys are coming up with creative ways to do concerts these days. Talk about that.
We have, during this pandemic, and all live theater, of course, has been shut down. We have decided that, for us, we need to still find ways to entertain. So, we came up with this idea of providing these Facebook Live concerts where we have performers come in the theater, do a little 3-4 minute song just to still provide some kind of entertainment.
So describe how the process works. You actually have people on the stage, but no audience present there.
Currently, the governor's orders, and we have only 10 people in the theater, so we have 8 performers, and then myself and a tech person came up with this idea of, let's just put on a concert. Let's give those the opportunity that want to sing the chance to do that.
And all of this on the Community Theater of Greensboro's Facebook page live tonight.
Correct. We go Facebook Live. You'll get a notification about it. And of course, it's been amazing that, the first 2 that we have done have, over 3,000 views. So for me, this is something people are interested in. And this is something that people need. They need to see happiness and joy, and they need to see that the theater is still alive and well.
Couldn't agree with you more, Ross. Thanks for being with us today. Good luck.
So it's pretty cool. If you need more information on this concert or upcoming concerts, all you have to do is look for this story on WFNYnews2.com. I love that they're virtual concerts and you can watch them on your phone, on your tablet, PC, laptop, anywhere. They're bringing the show to us.
Now, are these songs that they are singing, are they pieces from a musical or just any song in general that they want to sing?
So most of them are show. I asked her the exact same thing. Most of them are show tunes, but she said there are some people that are just picking whatever songs they like. Some of them are top 40 songs or just old ballads. It's whatever that she said the performer feels in their hearts.
I love that. You got to support community arts, and you never know, some of those people might make it big one day.
And some of them have.
That's
Isaac
right.
Powell, who's in Once on This Island, he was in the community theater here in Greensboro.
That's awesome. Now I just want
That's
to
right.
listen to
We could
show
say,
tunes.
I knew them when.
Yeah.
That's the way that works. All right, let's look at our forecast real quick. Numbers for right now, 86 degrees in the Triad. Elizabeth City at the coast is up to 88. Wilmington is at 91 degrees right now, and Asheville at 81. Planning forecast for your Saturday, fairly dry. There is a very, very slight chance of a shower. I don't think we'll see much with that, but 65 in the morning, probably some low 80s by midday with a high temperature getting close to 90 degrees. Southern Piedmont may actually squeak out a 90 here or there. We're fairly dry right now on the radar, not seeing a whole lot over our ridge, and we're kind of in this little dry slot. Most of the precipitation remains to the south. You can see that there. Low pressure off the coast kind of keeping us in the drier northerly flow, but as that will change heading into Saturday, and some of that dust that we've talked about, that big dust plume coming out of the Caribbean, will be working its way over the Carolinas, over central North Carolina, us, by tomorrow, say, evening and into the night. A good byproduct of that is the fact that sunsets, we've told, will be beautiful, bright and orange. Bad side of that, if you have respiratory issues, they say that those type of masks that we normally use when we're mowing the yard, that type of thing, you might need to go ahead and have that on. I would say for Saturday and for Sunday, because even though the dust gets a little bit better heading into Sunday evening, it's still the majority of during the day, Sunday and into the night. Here's your 7-day forecast. We stay in the upper 80s. By the way, that's where we should be. Our normal high is 87. We're at 89 for Saturday, 88 Sunday. The difference is late day rain chances are better on Sunday. They're back to a normal pattern by then. So 40% pop up late afternoon, early evening. Same story through most of next week. Upper 80s Monday, Tuesday. Same story mid 80s Wednesday, Thursday. But we dry out for Friday and cool down to 84. And with drier air, that 84 will feel a little bit cooler.
I feel like I know my mom moved around a lot.
Place is home. Mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Mic check. Mic check. I hear myself. Mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Yes, I think so.
know my mom moved around a lot.
You made it to Friday. Woo. Thank you for joining us here on the 4 to 5. I'm Taheshah Moyes alongside Maddie Gardner and Eric Chilton, who is giving us a round of applause.
Yeah, he's clapping for us, not Friday, by the way. I'll speak for him this afternoon. By the way, this is an interactive news show. We want to chat with you, and that's why we are live right now on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Join our conversation in the comments section and use our hashtag 4 to 5. Well, we are now 30 minutes away from the statewide face mask mandate. That means anyone in a public space will have to wear a mask both inside and outside. Employees and customers at retail businesses and restaurants also need to wear a mask. The order is set to expire on July 17th, and there are exceptions to the rule. Anyone younger than 11 doesn't need to wear a mask, neither do people who are eating, drinking, exercising, working at home, or in their car. You are also exempt if you're giving a speech or have a hearing impairment. Governor Cooper also announced the state will not be moving into phase 3 today as expected.
State leaders and local law enforcement hope that residents will follow this mandate voluntarily, but you could be cited for a violation. Authorities cannot arrest someone who isn't wearing a mask, but they can issue a citation to a business failing to comply with the mask policy. The executive order says anyone with an exemption from the requirement can let businesses know, and businesses will go off of customer statement. However, if a business turns you away for not wearing a mask and you refuse to leave that business, authorities can cite you for trespassing. The cities of Greensboro and High Point say they want to focus on educating the public instead of issuing citations. Rockingham and Alamance County Sheriff's Departments say that they will not cite anyone for not wearing a mask. Rockingham County authorities say that they will respond to trespassing calls.
So once again, that mask mandate is set to expire on July 17th, but it could impact schools and camps. The new executive order says childcare, day camp, and overnight camp workers and other adults have to wear a mask. And again, if your child is 11 years old or older, they'll need to wear a face covering unless they have one of those exemptions. Elementary school students, they're not required to wear a mask, but they are encouraged to. Anyone on school grounds would need to wear a face covering, including outside or on the bus. As for the fall, North Carolina school leaders are still evaluating plans for a safe return to school buildings, and we could even hear those plans sometime next week.
Well, state and federal health leaders have discussed how the virus impacts different groups in different ways. So one group to consider, the deaf and blind community, which relies on touch to communicate. Our sister station in Knoxville explains how members of that community have adapted to the pandemic.
Inside the Knoxville Center of the Deaf, the pandemic means silence and empty chairs. Another lifeline cut for people who cannot see or hear.
It's almost like they're in a prison. It's very lonely.
For the half-dozen deaf-blind people in Knoxville, Monica Shimon's team interprets their world.
Their hands would touch right about here on my hand, the way her hand fits over mine.
In the era of coronavirus,
this is not 6 feet apart.
If your only communication is through touch,
It is a big dark wall just right in their face.
social distance means total isolation.
Everything is so tactile. They've got to touch everything, you know? But with the coronavirus, it just really turned their world upside down.
Through interpreter Dawn Monroe, Shimon says for some deafblind, her support service providers are their only interaction in a world of dark silence.
They are the bridge between the deafblind and the rest of the community.
Shimon wants the governor to designate them essential workers, so as the deadly virus spreads, her deafblind clients can continue to live.
Without me, she would be in the complete dark.
Well, it is time now for your 4 to 5 roundup. Texas governors ordered the bars to close at noon today and for restaurants to lower the number allowed inside. Now, that order comes after the state decided to pause its reopening plans as coronavirus cases started to increase again. The state's positive cases have increased by more than 10%. The governor's order also requires tubing and rafting businesses to close. Outdoor gatherings of 100 people or more will also need approval from local government leaders. Joe Biden says if he is elected, he would do anything he could to make sure people wear face masks in public. The presumptive Democratic nominee said wearing a mask in public makes a difference when it comes to slowing the spread of the virus. Now, the CDC does recommend people wear a mask in public anywhere it's hard to maintain that social distance. And the agency also said that cloth masks can help asymptomatic people from spreading the virus. 2 astronauts completed the first of 4 spacewalks today. The spacewalks are part of a plan to replace 48 batteries in the International Space Station Lab's solar power system. 24 lithium-ion units will replace those batteries. That started in 2017, and the astronauts should be able to complete the battery replacement project. Well, people gathered in Greensboro today to pray for our nation. A group gathered in front of Governmental Plaza to pray for all issues our nation is facing right now.
Black Lives Matter, that movement is bringing forth a discussion on systemic racism and racism as a whole. Maybe you've seen someone post on social media about how deafening silence can be, or maybe you've had your friends or family shout, "They're not racist." Well, there's important to know that there is a difference between being racist and being anti-racist. If you want to support your friends and loved ones in this movement, understanding that saying "I'm not racist" does not solve the issues. So the Black Lives Matter movement is meant to save lives. So here is how we can all do that according to activists. They say we need to start by acknowledging that there is racism in society in some places, and that it can come in all shapes and sizes. It's common for people to think of slavery when thinking of racism, but that's not the only form that racism can take. Racist acts can be subtle or rather go unnoticed if someone isn't paying attention. Maybe an aunt or an uncle said something and no one spoke up. Perhaps a comedian made a racist joke and people just laughed because that's what we're used to doing. Become aware of your own thoughts and behaviors to stand against racism. Activists say that taking action is the most important way to be anti-racist. And action doesn't always mean you have to go out and protest. Sometimes it can mean something as simple as educating yourself, reading a book by a diverse author, or just speaking up if you see injustice. The difference between not being racist and being anti-racist is taking the risk to support change instead of being silent. And I know a lot of families right now, Maddie, having these tough conversations because you hear the word racist and suddenly you get defensive because you don't want to be seen in that way and that light. But I think there's a role that all of us can play in society to have these conversations, listening to people as they're saying things and giving that love out.
Yeah, I'm glad for the explanation there, Taheshah, because I've seen both of those terms used on social media a lot lately, so it's good to understand the difference. I think, like you said, conversations can be difficult, but everyone does have a platform, no matter how big or small it may be, and they can bring up those issues and maybe make a change. It might just be in their family, it might be in their community, so, you know, we all have a lot of listening and learning to do right now.
We can't always change the world one person, but we can talk to a friend that we know, someone that we're close with.
That's a good point.
We're looking at temperatures across the state that are pretty comfortable, especially in the mountain areas, really comfortable there. Boone is 76. That's good stuff there. Asheville's up to 81, 86 in the Triad. Danville, you're at 87. We go to 86 down toward Raleigh, 89 Fayetteville, and warming up to the low 90s for Charleston and for the Wilmington area, around 90 to 91. Overall, though, when you look at this on satellite and radar, we're not seeing a whole lot happening today. We're really in a little dry area where the low pressure that's moving off the coast, and we have that counterclockwise flow around that low. Why do we care about that? Because that actually pulls down some drier air from the north for us for a while. That will change on Saturday, and we see a high pressure to the south of us take over. That will also usher in some of that dust we've been talking about. Watch for that possibly Saturday evening, and definitely going into Sunday as well. Our high temperatures probably staying in those mid to upper 80s for a good while. In fact, we're looking at that to be the case through the first part of next week, although our rain chances will return, a 40% of late day pop-up showers for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and all the way into Wednesday of next week.
All right, we are following some breaking news in Greensboro right now. Protesters near the Friendly Center are causing some traffic issues. Let's get right to WFMY News 2.
About 40 protesters inside of Harris Teeter right now. They've been in there for some time. We have not been inside to know exactly what it is that they are doing. But again, as I said, they've been in there for quite some time. And before going inside Harris Teeter, they walked the parking lot of the Friendly Center. They went into REI. They also went inside of Whole Foods as well. And at one point, they did go onto Friendly Avenue and block off our intersection there. This is a racial injustice and Black Lives Matter protest that's going on right now. You can see that there are some vehicles and bikes that are blocking off this area right in front of Harris Teeter. But other than that, there isn't much of a disruption to traffic at this time. But again, as I said, they did go out onto Friendly Avenue, but right now they are in Harris Teeter. They've been in there for at least 5 minutes. Again, we don't know what it is that they're doing right now. We were told that the police department did know about them coming out here, and also the Friendly Center management did give them permission to come out here and protest. Again, we'll bring you updates and give you more information once some of the protesters begin to come outside of Harris Teeter.
All right, IG News, thank you. We'll keep you updated on that story. In the meantime, Beach South Volleyball in High Point is hosting a clinic today, and a local pro will be joining in. Southwest Guilford alum Sarah Schermerhorn is coming back to help train the people in the camp. WFMY News 2's Amanda Ferguson caught up with the volleyball pro and found out how the clinic plans to keep everyone safe.
The Greensboro native says normally she'd be traveling across the country right now for sand volleyball, but this year she's got some time on her hands, so she's coming back home to teach some girls and train them at Beach South Volleyball. Sarah Schermerhorn went to Southwest Guilford, played for Elon, and now she's a pro living in Florida. She spent some time training at Beach South Volleyball when she was here, so she tries to come back and coach the girls when she can. About 30 players still coming out this year, but organizers say they're socially distancing, playing 2-on-2 on 6 acres of land. Now, even though there were a lot of questions about whether this clinic would happen, Sarah says she loves coming home.
I love it. I think it's really great. It's just nice to kind of have a presence. And I mean, I grew up here for I lived here for like 27 years, you know, and it's really nice to kind of have that presence and feel like a place is home. You know, I feel like I know my mom moved around a lot, but sometimes you miss a little bit of that. So I'm grateful to have grown up in this area, and that Scott's built this awesome club that I get to come back and be a part of. And even though I'm not here training the girls regularly, it's nice to kind of have a little bit of presence.
The first session is wrapping up right now, and then after this, Sarah's heading to California for a tournament July 17th weekend. We'll be right back.
everybody, Tim Buckley here with you for another edition of News 2 Science Geeks. Today, we are going to actually make ice basically out of thin air. At least it'll seem that way to you. There are a couple things that you'll want to have. First off, you're going to want some bottles of water, and you're going to need to put them in the freezer for about 1.5 to 2 hours. That's important. Lay them down horizontally in the freezer until they get just to the point of freezing. You don't want the water to freeze, but you want it to get almost to that point. You're also going to need some ice cubes, and you're going to need a bowl that you're going to have upside down and some sort of tray just so you don't get water all over mom's counter. That's not a good thing. That's going to catch our water drops. That's all you need. So first step, take those bottles of water like I have right here out of the freezer. They should be really cold and just about to the point where it's going to freeze. So the only step you really need to do is take 1 or 2 ice cubes. We're going to put them right here on the top of the bowl. Then you're going to carefully, without disturbing your bottle too much, open the lid, take the bottle of water, and you're going to really slowly pour this on top. Not quickly, but if you do it slowly, look what I'm doing. I'm making ice out of thin air. You see that? And you can do this as long as the ice will support it. So we're basically making these icicles, and it just fell over, which can happen too. But see what we're doing? We're just making ice out of nothing. What's happening is that the water in this bottle right now is already colder than freezing. So what we're doing is we're making that super cooled water, which might be like 30, 31, or 29 degrees. It can't just freeze onto itself. So once it hits an ice cube, it says, ooh, I can freeze on that. And what we're doing is we're giving it a surface to freeze onto. So now there you have it. We've basically made slush here on the counter, which is why this can get a little bit messy. But try it out. All you need are bottles of water, some ice cubes, and a kitchen counter. Enjoy.
Troy, thanks for taking time out this morning, man. This is a lot of fun. You guys have been doing this periodically. Explain how this drive-through fair food thing works.
So just like I said, pull in right there off of Trinity Road. We've got three lines of cars. You'll move forward as the line moves up, and then once you get to the pavement, we'll have a runner come out and greet you, hand you an order form. They'll take the order from there, and then go grab your fair treats, bring them out to you, and then you can pull off and enjoy.
See, this is awesome because a lot of folks, this year they may be a little more nervous in the fall to head back out to the fair. So tell us what's on the menu, because that's really the only reason I'm here is to talk about food.
Absolutely. We've got some great items. So a bunch of the same stuff coming back. We've got roast corn, funnel cakes, deep fried Oreos, the pineapple smoothies, the Dole Whip in raspberry and pineapple flavor.
Now, with fair food, everybody tries to out fry each other. There's always a deep fried something or another. How do you guys come up with the ideas for that?
Absolutely. Lots of time spent experimenting. We'll pop things in the fryer, try them out, see how they turn out, and then just wait for a good time to bring them out.
Have you ever had one that you said, this is going to be a great idea, and then you did it and you tasted it and you said, no, not working?
Deep fried Rolos, they do not work well. They just melt right away. That's the best one that I can think of off the top of my head.
That actually doesn't sound bad, though. I like that. Troy, thanks, man. Thanks for taking time out today. Best of luck with this. Thank you for doing it. We love fair food.
Deep fried anything, I guess, is the answer there. Okay, so I asked you on Facebook, what's your go-to fair food? And here's what you had to say. Dawn chimed in. She goes, you know what? I like to eat from one end of the fair to the other. Taste everything. And Maddie actually commented on her comment and said, I'm with you. Christy Levan Wetz says simply funnel cakes. And Patrick John Bradley said waffles at the fair. I have to admit that I'm kind of a funnel cake guy because the really heavy sweet stuff sometimes is too much for me. But funnel cakes, love that light and with that powdered sugar on the top. Perfect.
Ooh. Yeah, funnel cakes, elephant ears, fried Oreo, fried Snickers, fair food. Oh, the corn on the cob, the turkey legs. I'm here for some fair food.
Oh, wow. I feel like I just gained 5 pounds just thinking of all of that food.
No. You don't gain weight for fair food because there's no calories. It
oh,
doesn't count.
0 calories. Okay, so I will make sure that I drive down to Raleigh this fall and get some food since it's 0 calories.
You're right, Eric, though everyone does try to out fry each other. Sometimes it's to a point where I don't even know what's happening anymore.
I know. It's just, I think at some point it's just going to say deep fried and you just grab whatever it is and eat it. Yeah, that's the way it's going to work. All right, let's talk about the forecast with the radar. Not a whole lot to see over us tonight. We're fairly dry. That will change, especially as we get into Sunday. I think there's about a 20% chance. I'll go with that for Saturday, but Sunday we'll bring that up to about a 40% chance of showers. Now, again, it's the late day pop-up showers like we normally see in the summertime, so nothing different there. You can see the low pressure moves off the coast. That's what kept us fairly dry today. Now the high pressure builds in from the south. It brings in some heat, but it also brings in that dust, that Sahara dust plume we've been talking about. That'll move over us for the weekend, especially Saturday evening and into Sunday. So be advised of that. If you have respiratory issues, you might need that mask for sure. High temperatures will stay in the upper 80s once we get to Sunday, all the way through the first half of next week with late day shower chances.
Coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5, we are just a few moments away from the statewide mask order taking effect. We are breaking down when you'll have to wear a mask and more details coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5. My face is shiny. I'm looking at my face on the Facebook live stream. All right, mic check 1, 2, 3.
Hi there, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado.